Well, good Sunday afternoon. The time is 4:52 Central Time. We're here to bring you the latest on the tropics. It had to happen sometime, and here we are. It's potential tropical cyclone 6 now. It was formerly Invest 91 just a few hours ago. Now has been upgraded to PTC 6 from the National Hurricane Center. So this is a current look at it with our satellite observation here. Check it out. It's kind of disorganized at this point. We're seeing this large area of showers and storms in the southern Gulf of Mexico for the Bay of Campeche. So this is where we've been tracking this system over the last couple of days. It has now strengthened a little bit with its wind speeds now gusting at 60 miles per hour, sustained winds at 50 miles per hour. Now PTC 6 still lacks a well-defined center, so there's no center of circulation to track just yet. The NHC is investigating this and they're continuing to, compile data on that. So we're still waiting on a center to form, and it looks like it will form getting into tomorrow. So strengthening is certainly on the horizon, likely to become Tropical Storm Francine by Monday, by tomorrow. So this is what we have going on now. There is a cone now initiated for this, and getting into the next several days, this is going to change up. Since there's no center of circulation yet, this cone will probably shift a little bit, maybe more to the east or to the west in the next couple of days. So still waiting on that center of circulation to form. PTC 6 now expected to become a tropical storm, though, tomorrow, maintaining its strength as a tropical storm in the warm Gulf waters. Getting into Tuesday, hugging right along the Texas coast. Again, this is the initial cone here. Cone here showing that it does strengthen to a Category 1 hurricane by Wednesday. So landfall expected somewhere either in East Texas or western Louisiana sometime Wednesday or early Thursday. Again, this is the initial cone forecast calling for it to strengthen to a Category 1 storm by later Wednesday or early Thursday. So again, this is something we'll be watching very closely in the coming days. Just want to bring you the latest on what's expected with this. Then it will be moving inland, getting into Thursday and Friday, and then into the heart of the country later in the week. So this is what we have at this point. Really what we're expecting here in our part of the Gulf, some unsettled weather for several days. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday will bring us kind of that soggy stretch, some gusty winds, and some coastal flooding. So we'll get into the more details or more specific details with that for the New Orleans area in a minute, but we'll be talking now what it kind of looks like at this point. So like I mentioned, kind of lacking that well-defined center, but since it's so close to land, that's why the NHC has called it PTC 6. It's initiating these advisories because it's so close to Mexico, and it will continue to bring impacts to parts of the Gulf Coast getting into the next couple of days. So this is what we have. The strongest winds placed on the southwest side of the system, and getting into tomorrow, it is expected to take that better structure, that better form, and tomorrow we'll probably be calling this Tropical Storm Francine. So right now we are sitting under this nice cold front in our part of the Gulf, so we have been dry today. But getting into tomorrow, moisture will start to creep back in to the Gulf of Mexico and through the Gulf of Mexico northward into the Gulf Coast. So southeast Louisiana, South Mississippi, moisture will start to creep in starting tomorrow. But we're watching down here for the southern Gulf of Mexico to see what eventually will become Francine will do. This is the spaghetti models. So going into the next couple of days, this is what we have getting into Wednesday, still hugging the Texas coastline by Wednesday. Drifting up to the north at first, and then it's expected to make that turn to the northeast on Wednesday. Again, landfall either in East Texas or western Louisiana Wednesday or early Thursday. This is the initial forecast, but something to kind of hang on to here and make your preps now to let you know we do have some rough weather coming our way during the midweek time frame. It looks like a big rainmaker for us. There is just going to be a whole slug of moisture coming into southeast Louisiana and South Mississippi Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Big rainmaker for us, more soaking rain and more flooding rain expected here at home. So let's just kind of walk you through the next couple of days. Really, let's focus on the impacts. Since the cone can still change, the intensity can still change. We'll just really focus on the impacts for southeast Louisiana and South Mississippi. So the rest of Sunday, quiet. It's a nice rest of the day. We have tomorrow also for Monday, trending mostly dry. But I mentioned that moisture in the Gulf of Mexico starts to creep up into the coastline, starts to travel a little bit farther to the north. So tomorrow, I think we'll see a couple spotty showers and storms for our coastal spots. But Monday, largely looking like a dry day. So tomorrow, trending mostly dry aside from a couple spotty showers and storms for our coastal locations getting into tomorrow afternoon and in the evening. Tuesday is when we start to see the influences of this tropical disturbance. So PTC 6 starts to bring some more moisture in our direction. So Tuesday is when the tropical downpours begin. So tomorrow, if you know your house floods really easily, you'll live along the coastline. it wouldn't be a bad idea tomorrow to maybe pick up some sandbags. Doesn't mean you'll definitely need them. No reason to panic, but if you know that your house is really susceptible to flooding and you live along the coastline, that's something to kind of keep in mind, because we could see, again, those flooding rains Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and also maybe some coastal flooding for some of our locations. So that is something to keep in mind for us. Nothing to stress too much about. We've been through way worse. This storm is not anticipated to blow up into anything unimaginable and major, but again, it could be a Cat 1 strength when it makes landfall in western Louisiana or East Texas by late Wednesday, early Thursday. So focusing on the impacts, Tuesday we'll start to see some passing downpours during the day, maybe some heavy showers here and there Tuesday through the morning and into the afternoon. So we could maybe see some localized street flooding on Tuesday. Especially given all the rain we got over the last few days, flooding won't be as difficult to achieve. And that's something we'll have to watch as the winds kind of pick up midweek with this. Could we get some maybe downed trees, some power outages? It's possible. We get that even with a summertime storm. So just want to throw it out there. It's a possibility for the midweek time frame. Maybe because the ground is so saturated, flooding can be done a little bit more readily. And maybe we could see some of those weak trees go down if we get some strong wind gusts working in there Wednesday and Thursday. Something to kind of keep in mind for a couple days this week with this rough weather expected. So Tuesday is when things kind of start. Tuesday is not going to be that bad. Passing downpours Tuesday, a little breezy, especially at the coast. I don't think we'll see the roughest of the weather until Wednesday and Thursday. So Wednesday and Thursday, Wednesday in particular, that's going to be when we see the most rain and probably the strongest winds and the coastal flooding. So this is the European forecast, of course, the big global model honing in on this. So like I mentioned now, still lacking a defined center, just a PTC 6. It's gusting winds up to 60 miles per hour, so the winds are there. But this is what we have Wednesday. So fast forwarding through the next couple of days, it is expected to strengthen. It's sitting over the very warm Gulf, strengthening up to a tropical storm, maybe Category 1 hurricane by Wednesday. So this is, again, one model run. We know how these change up a little bit, especially as we get better data in the coming hours and the coming days. So this is what we have for European model Wednesday evening, landfall looking like maybe western Louisiana. Again, this will change up a little bit, but keep in mind, our part of the Gulf, southeast Louisiana, South Mississippi, we're on the eastern side of this. We're going to get the rain. We could see maybe some quick tropical spin-up tornadoes. Very small chance for that, but you can never rule that out when you're on the eastern side of this. You could see maybe those quick spin-ups. We'll have to watch those, especially for our coastal spots getting into Wednesday and early Thursday. Maybe some quick tropical tornadoes, some brief spin-ups with that, plus the heavy rain, the gusty winds that will begin on Wednesday, and some coastal flooding, some moderate coastal flooding expected. So this is what we have into Wednesday. Wednesday, the rainiest of the weather coming in. That lasts until late Wednesday through early Thursday. Again, the timing can still change with this as well. This is just the preliminary initial forecast. Thursday, still dealing with some rain and rough weather early in the day, but it looks like it'll be darting off to the north along the Mississippi River by later Thursday in the afternoon, and then we'll see some drier air wrapping in behind that. So the second half of Thursday, Friday into next weekend, dry, nicer days. GFS, other big global model, of course, pretty good consensus here that this landfall will be happening later Wednesday, maybe early Thursday. GFS a little bit, I think, farther to the west, slightly, but it is very close. So that's good. The models are in good agreement, but still, again, things can change. Don't cling onto this forecast since it's the preliminary one that we're putting out here. So Wednesday night landfall, western Louisiana looking like could again maybe be in East Texas, but models indicating a western Louisiana landfall. We're on the sloppy side of this, for lack of a better terminology. Rainy weather for us Wednesday, rough weather Wednesday into early Thursday, and then this pulls up to the north along the Mississippi River the rest of Thursday. Now we have the drier air wrapping in behind it. So it looks like the second half of the day, Thursday, while it will remain breezy, we'll start to see drier air filtering in and nicer days for Thursday, the second half of Thursday at least, but Friday into next weekend, that's when we see some calmer days, some calmer weather. So rainfall totals area-wide over the next few days, anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of rain is expected from this system Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So 4 to 6 inches of rain spread out over those 3 days. But we can see some locally higher amounts of rain that can induce the street flooding. And like I said, we just had so much wet weather the last 3 days. This is not going to be good for us, for some of our locations that could see just pretty easily flooded streets and easily flooded bodies of water. So our small creeks and streams, some of our waterways, our rivers, will have to watch for this because of the additional rain that we'll see from PTC 6 Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So the biggest thing, I think this is going to be a rainmaker. A lot of soggy, wet weather Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Make sure you drive carefully. You avoid those flooded roadways. You bring rain gear with you, and we just kind of get through this thing. It's this time of the year. It's the peak of hurricane season, and we do have a system coming in our direction. So let's quickly look at the wind gust. So this is the wind gust forecast. So not doing much now. Then we see this strengthening, this tightening, this better organization through tomorrow. That's when it will be named Francine. And then we get into Tuesday, still hugging the Mexico coastline, the Texas coastline, just offshore of the coast for Tuesday. But winds starting to pick up for them, a little breezy for them, winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour. Here at home, New Orleans area, make it a little breezy Tuesday. We'll see winds coming in from the east. This is when we could maybe get the minor coastal flooding beginning because of the sustained east wind pattern Tuesday and Wednesday. So could see some minor coastal flooding beginning for the high tides on Tuesday in our part of the Gulf. Also winds starting to pick up for our coastal spots, maybe gusting 20, 25 miles per hour on Tuesday. So it gets breezy Tuesday. We'll have the passing tropical downpours, but the roughest of the weather again coming in Wednesday into early Thursday. And then we take this farther out in time. This is Tuesday night, still seeing the storm turn to the northeast. So that's what we'll be watching. How much can it turn? Because exactly where it makes landfall this week will really depend on how much of the impacts that we see from this, the extent of the impacts at least. So this is a sustained wind speed forecast for the next couple of days. Winds picking up and then going into Wednesday, taking that turn or curve to the northeast. These are sustained winds. So western Louisiana seeing those strong sustained winds picking up 50, 60 plus miles per hour, probably even higher than that. If we're talking Cat 1 strength, we're in the 70, 80 range for sustained winds right in the center of the storm. So Wednesday, this is what we have. Wednesday evening, again, that's when the storm really looks like it will be pushing inland. And then for us, the windy weather in our part of the Gulf, southeast Louisiana, South Mississippi, New Orleans, strong winds expected Wednesday, especially for the coastline and for our westernmost areas. So strong winds expected Wednesday, but check out these sustained winds for New Orleans, 20, 30 miles per hour. Coastal spots will probably see sustained winds closer to 40 miles per hour. Getting into Thursday, this is early, like midnight, so late Wednesday, early Thursday, strong winds spreading inland, gusty winds continuing for us into early Thursday. And then as the system pulls away, things start to calm down the second half of the day on Thursday. So again, roughest of the weather coming in Wednesday, Thursday. Sorry I'm being repetitive, but I just want you to know the impacts. That's, of course, the most important thing. Does it get a name? I mean, who cares at this point? What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen where I live? That's really the most important thing. So let's take a closer look at sustained wind speeds for us. So this is Tuesday. Again, like I mentioned, getting a little breezy during the day Tuesday. Nothing crazy just yet. Maybe winds getting a little stronger for the coast on Tuesday. Wednesday, that's when I'll call it a windy day for us. Sustained winds coming in from the east. This is when we could see, again, the coastal flooding for our eastward facing shorelines, even our southern facing shorelines. So really our coastal spots can be dealing with some coastal flooding for Wednesday because our winds will be coming mostly from the east southeast. So that's why we'll be seeing maybe some moderate coastal flooding. These are our sustained winds around 20, 25 miles per hour, maybe 30, 35 mile per hour sustained winds for the coast on Wednesday. And then we get into early Thursday. So this is like the middle of the night when the storm looks like it will be moving inland. Sustained winds maybe 30, 40 miles per hour at the coast, 25, 35 miles per hour inland. So it's just going to be a windy late Wednesday, a windy early Thursday, and then that system pulls away. Winds will start to calm down getting into Thursday afternoon. Still a little breezy though the first part of the day Thursday. Thursday night, that's when things kind of wind down for us. As it looks now, again, the timing with this can still change. But let's talk more about the impacts. This is going to be a weather impact alert day for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because we will see flooding rain, tropical downpours coming in waves starting Tuesday, really picking up in intensity Wednesday, and then lasting through early Thursday. Wednesday is going to be a nasty day. Just a lot of rain, just kind of a nuisance. When you want to go from point A to point B, driving is going to be a real pain because we'll see those passing tropical downpours. We'll probably see some street flooding during the day on Wednesday, but really Tuesday, Wednesday into early Thursday could see some street flooding across the area. Also, our bodies of water probably going to rise a little bit because we've gotten so much rain over the last several days. So this will kind of exacerbate the flooding issue when it comes to the smaller bodies of water, our small creeks, streams, and we know how that goes when we pick up a lot of rain. Also, it's going to be windy, so we'll be breezy Tuesday, winds strong on Wednesday into early Thursday. Wind gusts may get up to 40 to 50 plus miles per hour at the coast. So maybe we're talking wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour for the immediate coastline. Inland New Orleans metro wind gusts probably 40, 45 miles per hour. We'll be honing in on the details of this in the next, subsequent forecast, but just plan for some strong winds across the area on Wednesday through early Thursday, the strongest of those gusts happening for our coastal spots. With that, we'll see coastal flooding, I think, of 1 to 3 feet above normal high tide. Could it be 1 to 4 feet? Maybe. It just depends on where the storm looks like it will be making landfall. So coastal flooding is expected across the area. That's something to certainly keep in mind. If, again, like I mentioned before, if you know that you're pretty susceptible to flooding, not a bad idea to pick up maybe some sandbags tomorrow, while tomorrow is going to be dry and a quiet day. So a recap again, weather impact alert for Tuesday, Wednesday especially, and then through early Thursday. It's why there's an asterisk there, because that's when the roughest weather comes in, Wednesday, Thursday. Plan for heavy rain. This is going to be a rainmaker. If you could take away one thing, it's just going to be a soggy couple of days. Heavy rain for us expected, gusty winds, and we could watch for some street flooding and coastal flooding, plus just our bodies of water running a little bit higher. None of our bodies of water in southeast Louisiana are in a flood stage. We're not in a flood stage at all, but that's something we'll have to monitor. If you know where you live, there's like a creek that floods pretty easily and it's kind of running high from the last couple of days. Just something to kind of keep in mind. That might be something we'll have to deal with during the midweek time frame. Always watch for street flooding when we get these systems coming in. And of course, the coastal flooding of 1 to 3 feet above normal high tide, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I'll leave you with the 7-day forecast. Again, tomorrow is going to be quiet. Could see a couple spotty storms tomorrow. Humidity coming back tomorrow, mid-80s. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's when PTC 6, which will probably be Francine by tomorrow. So either Tropical Storm Francine or Hurricane Francine coming into the Gulf Coast, bringing us some impacts Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. By the second half of Thursday, as it looks now, we'll be drying up. Friday into next weekend, dry, nice, quiet days to clear out from this system. So thanks for tuning in. We'll be back in a few hours with the latest update from the National Hurricane Center to see if there's any shifts in the track. Make sure you do check back in online. We'll be back also for the evening news tonight at 10 o'clock. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll be back in a few hours.